A few days ago, I picked up this old 1940s World War II toolbox at an antique shop for $17. You know, it's not a bad price because antique shops tend to be way overpriced, but every so often you find some good stuff. And there is no way you could buy anything like this with the build quality today for $17. So, I started looking online, and I went about 45 minutes of finding pretty much nothing about it. And then all of a sudden, the ground fell through, and I fell through an extremely deep rabbit hole of, like, this was used many different times in the military. There were different variations by different companies. Oh, so let me pull out my phone. So this, the government saw it as the FSN 41-B-1840. That's like the overall part number as far as I can tell. There were different variations. One of them was the U.S. Army Signal Corps Toolbox TE-113. There was also the Signal Corps U.S. Army Chest CH-77. And then overall, it had the General Mechanics Toolkit, which I looked up some pictures of those, and it's like, holy shit, I have a bunch of those tools. So I might be able to just put all those tools in here and have a toolkit. But most of all, the toolbox that this reminded me of, and what made me want to get this, is my old one that I picked up out in California. Evidently, it's a World War II one also, or at least a future one. You know, because after the war, they would keep making them, and that's probably what this is. If we can't figure out for sure, then we can just assume maybe it's a civilian model or something made later, because evidently they made these until like the 1960s. I think that's the problem. There's so much information. So let's just go over what I found, and then we can clean it up and put some WD-40 on it, and because I'm not going to remove the rust. The rust is really nice in the old green paint. Although this one, I think I already found what it was, and somebody even sells little labels for the top. So I'm probably gonna actually fix this one up someday. This one has black paint on it though, so that might not be military. But that green, it's definitely World War II. Okay, so I'm not seeing any real stamp marks or any stickers, but I do see this little lettering right here. Whenever we clean this up, because there's a lot of dirt on there, I'll take great care to clean that off. But for now, let's look at the physicality of it, the physical aspects. So first off, the very strange thing is that this handle is reversed. As far as I can tell, I've seen some where they're both this way, and so they are open a bit. But then I've also seen other ones where they're this way. So is this from the factory? Is it not? I'm not seeing any real markings around it. It doesn't look like this one was like hammered in or whatever. But this thing's been through quite a bit. If we open it up, well, first off, this is bent out really bad. But this is really stiff. I'll have to fix that because now there was also variations in these because some were round, some were like more squarish. Oh, and by the way, the three companies that made these were E.J. McAleer, Hamilton Metal Products, which also made it under the brand name Climax, which is actually what originally made me find this, like all this stuff, and then also made by Union, and evidently Union did not brand it. They did not stamp it or anything. There's another variation here. Well, of course, there's three little things, different manufacturers of different things, but some of them had 1 or 2 holes for oilers. So you could put an oiler through there and put it through the hole and have an oiler for that. So that does not have any oiler holes. I might actually add one because that's a good idea. Inside is a shelf to hold the tray, and then one little divider made of angle iron. And then another differentiator between the manufacturers is the number of links in the piano hinge. Is that the right term, piano hinge? I think it's the right term. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 32. And all the ones that I find have 33 online. So is this a new variation? Maybe I don't know how to count this. I do not know. This is getting complicated. Some of them have markings on the top there, but these ones don't have any stamping. Most of the more obvious ones actually have like the serial number or whatever, like stamped in like the catalog or order number or whatever for the military. So that makes me think that either this was an earlier one that did not have, like they just didn't bother with that, or it was a later one. I don't know. There's so many different variations, because did they always stamp it on there? Sometimes where they just rushed and just wanted them soon, so they didn't bother stamping them on there. It's so difficult. But I love it. This is becoming quite cool. A lot of the green paint has survived, which is really nice. I think most of this is just dirt. So let me go get some water and we can wash it up. I might clean some of this rust off the bottom though. This rust is fine. But like this lighter orangey stuff, looks like someone set it down on concrete and forgot about it for a few days, because that's not as good. Oh, looks so much nicer already. That's a good amount of dirt. Oh, and that's another thing. This thing has rounded corners. And so these little caps that they put on the corner, looks like they're hollow on the bottom. That's odd. One nice part about having a brick floor, any dust helps hold the bricks together. Oh, interesting. I just noticed that that's brazed, if that's the right term. There's a normal side. Yeah. This has definitely been around the block a few times. So there we have the wording written on there. I'm not sure if that's original or possibly aftermarket. It's very difficult to tell. And that's after one wash and drying off. Maybe a bit more dirt there, but oh well. And that's what it looks like with a bit of WD-40 on it. You know, sometimes things look different. Easier to read, difficult to read, who knows. But overall, I think this WD-40 would do a good job of keeping this from rusting anymore. And lastly, what's that? There we go. I have no idea what kind of oil this is. So this looks like valve oil or hinge oil, whatever it is. Seems like it's pretty light stuff though. Oh, that's nice. Ow, fuck. It's a lot less crunchy. That's a lot less crunchy. And then I think when they braised it, it might have brought it in a bit much. So that's a bit unfortunate, but oh well. Okay. Here's one of those tools that looks a lot like one of the snips that were in some of the kits. At least I saw some kind of similar to that. Overall, this is in very nice condition, I think. Definitely usable. Yeah, I don't need to clean it up too much. So it's the next day, and I've given myself some time to observe and think about it, and I haven't found much more information online. It still seems to be just a lot of, well, a bit muddy. But I have noticed if one of these has been flipped around after the fact, then the wear marks on the metal should show the original orientation. This one has wear marks there and there where these 2 points hit, and then a bit of one on the hinge, but there's none here or here. So obviously this was always oriented like this. And then this one has no wear marks here or here. It does have a little bit of a rubbing there where this touches there, but it has there and there where those two meet. So obviously these are original, they're in their original orientation. And since I haven't seen any of these toolboxes that have that orientation yet, I think it's safe to assume that this was a bit of a rushed job. Because I imagine sometimes during the war, the government was just like, we don't fucking care what you give us. We need a bunch of toolboxes. Get them to us fucking yesterday. And then they just have to basically, like, take out a lot of steps and just get them toolboxes because they just need them right now. So I imagine this is probably a very rushed production. And that's why there isn't any like stamping or whatever. However, it could also just be a later, cheaper like civilian model or consumer, whatever the term would be. Oh, and I spent some time staring at that. Looks like it's O-M-O-T-I-V-E. Locomotive. So that might be Locomotive, and this is like really messed up because of this this part. And there's something else here, I'm not quite sure. That might be a number. I'm not sure if they had like standard issue. Like, I don't know if the military really like issued things for locomotives, but I imagine they probably had to have stuff for rail use because I imagine they had to move tanks and stuff. And this is like stencil. So like there's a line between the O's where the stencil was put over there and spray painted or just brush painted, whatever it is. Probably brush painted back then. So yeah, I think that might be original, or at the very least looks very military, as far as I can tell. But now, as far as I'm aware, this is going to be a very nice little toolbox. I love how the hinges have smoothed up a lot. I might go ahead and drill a little hole for an oiler to fit in there. Might be a good idea. I have buckets and buckets of tools to go through. I have several bins of them just in the little brick shed that I'm still emptying out. And so as I start filtering them into the workshop and start making shelf space and places to hang them up and stuff like that, I can find a good collection of maybe even have enough tools to replicate the original, like the mechanic's toolkit or whatever. It'd be kind of cool to have that in there. But for now, I think it'd be good just to have some of my good tools in there. Like, since this thing looks so smart, I think just have some of my workbench tools. A magnet, why not? Ah, darn. Well, the other ones are put away, so I'm not going to go through and get all my tools out just yet, but I think this would be very nice to have this on my workbench at all times. And then this one can be like when I'm taking things apart. Like, I think the next video can be messing with that motor, and this can be like the little thing that'll open up to have all the nice little tools for doing that. Whoops. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this simple little video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!